time's up. Let's do this.
We're in for a wild night.
Welcome, everyone, to episode 214 of Born to be Wild, a wild and wild adjacent Hearthstone podcast where we have fun hanging out with friends, talking about the wild and adjacent formats of Hearthstone, and spotlighting members of the wild community. I am your host, ElectricSheepCity. It is great to be back this beautiful Friday evening here in Kickin' Rad, Colorado. I'm joined by a fellow host, SchmoopieDaddy.
Happy to not have a headache and to be back contributing to the pod.
And this week we are also joined by special guest, AzaleaAkari. It's been a while since we've caught up with you, Azalea. What has been going on in Akari land?
Honestly, it's been a lot, quite a bit going on. I've been playing Pokemon draft leagues, Pokemon single format draft leagues. I've rejoined THL for a full season. I haven't played a full season in probably about two expansions now, and I've been doing other types of adventures with other games, whether it's and a lot of that comes in speedrunning. So that's been a lot of fun lately.
I've been lurking in a couple of your Diddy Kong racing speedrun runs. Those have been pretty fun to watch too.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I don't think I'd want to face Azalea in any like N64 type racing scenarios.
Mario Kart, we'd be even in Mario Kart. I have no clue how to speedrun that game. That game's a bit of a bad speedrunning game. Really good party game. It's not a bad speedrunning game. It's a very grindy game.
Got you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So for those of you joining us for the first time, welcome aboard. We record this podcast live every Friday evening at twitch.tv/borntobewildhs. The video version of this podcast is then posted to YouTube shortly thereafter. Audio versions are also distributed to all of the podcast apps. So however you are watching, listening, or absorbing via osmosis this podcast today, thank you. Yes, you.
Content plug, SchmoopieDaddy. Before we get into the main topic of the show tonight, I'd like to say a quick thank you to the patrons of our show. Your support means the world to us. If you enjoy this content, please like, subscribe, and comment on this video on YouTube. Another simple way to support the show is to leave a review on your podcast platform of choice. If you're watching on Twitch, we've got some awesome emotes that you can unlock by subscribing to the channel. This is free if you use Amazon Prime. Finally, if you'd like to support the show financially, you can join our Patreon for as little as $1 per month. We have some channels in the Discord that are unlocked by subscribing to the Patreon, where you get to see the show come together each week. Check it out. If you'd like to interact with us personally, please join our Discord, a free and amazing online community of friends all across the world who love talking about wild Hearthstone. Links to all of this stuff and more, including our merch, can be found on our website, which is www.borntobewildhs.com. Sheep, how's your week?
Yeah, my week was pretty good. So I hit legend in this here format of wild, and I did so with even Rainbow Death Knight, this deck from Anchorman. It's so much fun. So we've got our plagues going on for our draw heavy decks. I decimated a I had not seen in ages a Garrote Rogue. Saw one today.
Yeah. Yeah, it's weird. They're all swapping to let's give a deckhand Wind Fury with a weapon up, and that's the new in vogue. But like the old Garou combo is still really 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 good.
So of course we've got, also turns off our Highlander opponent's Reno, which is good because we're kind of an aggro deck. We've got Eliza Goreblade to give all of our tokens, which we're creating many of, an additional 1 attack. Horizon's Edge, I mean, we said that location was busted before, right? Like,
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah.
No Muncher is just too good not to run, and like any even DK deck. Now that
Warms my heart.
this one's a
Got no
rainbow.
Muncher in there.
Yeah, this one's rainbow. So like even before we would have been able to put it in, but as soon as we dropped the blood rune from it, like I was immediately running that in Unholy. Even like you have to, right? So really fun. Corpsicle, of course, is just also never-ending damage. I took on a Highlander Paladin, but before the show tonight as well, and it was wild. They played the Spirit. I turned off their, Reno, not the hero card if they were to have had it. I didn't see that one, but they played their Spirit. They played their Reno Lone Ranger. They played Cariel after the Reno Lone Ranger, and I still was able to defeat them.
It's pretty sick.
Deck is really fun. And anytime we get to play even DK, it makes me happy. I've continued my not purchasing things when I'm like, hey, that's cool, but am I ever going to actually play with it? That before had primarily like applied to hero portraits because that's where most of the things go. This is the first time that one of those hero portraits has a card back associated with it as well. And the card back is actually pretty sick, but am I going to pay $15 just for this card back? No. So, the character, a pony Brightmane seems kind of cool, but I'm never going to play with her. Like Horseman Uther, the Anoyo family, Burger Uther, Leroy's Jenkinses, like,
Yeah.
already have so many hero portraits that I'd actively play. So the whaling is kind of scaling back a little bit. It's still happening a bit, but I'm not just buying things because they're there anymore.
Whoa.
And then on the personal side, the work has kind of been pretty crazy. And then I brought my son home early today because he had a fever. We don't know, like, he's not acting too terribly sick yet, but he's got like a runny nose, but he's also teething one of the molars. So like that could be both of those things too, because it's not a high grade fever, but daycare crud just happens. So what can you do? SchmoopieDaddy, what's been going on in your neck of the woods, friend?
Sure. So I wasn't able to do the pod last week because we'd planned this trip to go see our college roommate down in Houston, Texas. So we got Shroopy on his first plane ride. He did pretty well in his first plane ride, but
Nice.
Before we left, we were a little worried because daughter was a little sick. She was complaining her eyes hurt. She had a little bit of a fever. She wasn't moving too well. She was a little bit grumpy. So we're like, all right, let's just make sure it's not COVID. Let's take her to the doctor. Doctor looked at her. Doctor was like, she's fine to travel. She's not testing positive for flu, COVID, anything. Just you're good. Go ahead. Go have a good time. So we're like, all right, maybe it's just a kid virus, not a big deal. And away we went. And we got there, and it was hot, and like that was fine.
Yeah.
And we were having some fun, and that was cool. And we saw like a really cool they have a really cool science museum in Houston, and that was
Can confirm.
very neat, very neat.
Cool.
But then I didn't start feeling too well. And, you know, our roommate's just like, oh, well, you know, you probably just aren't used to the heat. And I'm like, I don't know. Like, I mean, I'm drinking water here. Like, I'm doing okay. But like, you know, my daughter's not really wanting to walk. I'm having to like put her on my shoulders and carrying her around a while. Right. So I don't feel too hot. So, you know, eventually I start spiking a fever. And my superpowers that I gained were dehydration, constant headaches, and achy eyeballs, where my body was probably stealing liquid from my eyes to go someplace. I guess clammy cold sweats in the middle of the night. Anyway, I ended up like not sleeping very well, not thinking very well, taking my first sub in THL in... Have I been playing? I don't know if I've been playing like 7 seasons, 8 seasons, but like
I think it's 8, 7. 8.
I think it's 8. It might be 8.
I was going back.
It's more than 2.
I'll have a story.
More than 2.
For that.
But just like I never take off for THL, and I was having some moments just sort of sitting there, just like thinking about normal things, like, and then I'd be like dreaming about like the opponent I was matched up with. I'd be like having fever dreams about like how like what is my lineup for their lineup and how am I going to play into this particular, and like it was like haunting me. I'm just like, all right, I'm just going to take the sub. I'm just going to like try to recover. Did not recover before I came home. So we traveled home with like the painful headaches, and on the way home, Mommy started coming down with it. So we're just like, oh god, and we don't know what it is. Like she went to the emergency room. It's not COVID, though. Apparently, like the newest COVID is a lot more like headachy stuff. But we weren't testing positive. Like we probably tested for COVID 5-6 times. I don't know. But I got better. Yeah, I mean, you know, I wore a mask the way home. On the plane as you know, as one of the little ones, but like what are you gonna do? I did the best I could. And was just pushing water, not really eating, and then sort of like 2 days ago I started finally feeling all right, and that's when the brawl came up. And so I tried the brawl, right? My first run was with Pirate DH, and first 2 games, high rolled starts, cool, quick 2-0, maybe I do a quick 12-0 right here, right? Ran into Rogue Central. Got high rolled by a pirate rogue. That didn't go too well. Saw 2 null rogues that had packs on one. That didn't go too well. And so I was pretty frustrated, right? And I'm like, all right, well, maybe this is just not my meta for me. Not hitting day 1 legend with it. And sort of out of frustration and rage, I was just like, why don't I just like queue up like this XL Odin Warrior? I'd played it on stream before I left on my trip, and I kind of liked it, but I didn't have a bunch of reps with it, and I wasn't well enough on my trip to get reps with it. So I was like, all right, you know, let's just queue it up. And I've played Skipper Warrior before. How much different could this be? And sure enough, I went 7-0 to get to the halfway point. So I was just like, okay, this is going well, including unfortunately ending Martian's run. When he was doing Highlander Hunter. So if you watch his Highlander Hunter video, everybody in the comments is mad at me. And I love Marshy, and I didn't mean to end his run, I swear. And I ended up taking that run to my first 12 wins in Brawl, which was really, really cool. I was like, you know, like it was kind of tense the last couple games because I queued the same no rogue player twice. The first time he beat me because I low rolled my roll. And then the second time I just had the nuts, and he was really good and really patient. And in that matchup, the null rogue player either has to like rush you down or just sort of like properly meter out threats and resources and like get full value from their packs and like just kind of like see if they can scam you and catch you when you can't clear a board. And this is what this guy was doing, and he was doing it great. I'm Change, I think, was the player, and he played great. I had the nuts. Like there was no point where I didn't. There's no point where I was out of control in the matchup. In fact, I think I even kind of like rope-a-doped a little bit to get him to commit too much so that I could clear stuff. So he played great, but like again, probably 80-20 matchup in my favor, and took home my first 12 wins, which was like very redemptive because I had gotten to the 12-win match before with Pirate Rogue in Sunken City with the last one that we had.
Yeah.
Right? I think, was that the last one we had, or did we have one in between then?
I think we may have had one in between then.
Maybe one in between. But I think the one in between, like, I think I maybe got like 8 or 9 was just like, that's good enough for me. I can be proud that I did okay with that.
Yeah.
So it was cool finally getting the 12. I was like, all right, sweet. I got my 12 wins in a tavern brawl. That's awesome. And then it came time to stream, and I was just like, well, I guess I have to like stream the brawl now, right? So I was like, all right, well, I mean, if I'm going to stream the brawl, I'm just going to like play the deck that I already did the thing with, because like I'm comfortable with that, and I know I'm pretty good at it. So I started streaming it. On Wednesday, I started 5-0, played like Reno Shaman the first match, and everything else was like standard decks and jank. And I was like, all right, well, this is going okay. Last night, streamed the end of the run. I know, Sheep, you were there for the beginning. I don't know if you got sleepies and had to go, because like it was the games. I had to bounce.
Yeah,
the games are long. I think Millsy, who was in our chat here to start the night, was just like, Schmoopie, okay, what do? I have work early in the morning. Do I stay up and see if you hit 12 wins, or do I go to sleep and just assume you do? And I'm like, I'll put it up on YouTube. If you miss it, you can always catch the end. And I did end up hitting 12 wins again, back to back, with Odin Warrior, 12-2, which was just really surreal and goofy. It's a lot more fun to do it when people are watching and rooting for you. I know, like Azalea, I think you were there at the bitter end, right? I'm pretty sure.
I mean, I might not have been perfect paying attention the whole time, but I think that last night
Who should? You're gonna lose your mind.
I lurked your whole stream, and I was like, he did it. Let's go.
It's really cool.
Yeah, it really was. I mean,
and it's a fantastic amount of packs to open up on stream too, because it's just all right, everybody loves a loot box. So then I'm just like slamming the space bar at the end.
Yeah, I was there
listening
for the
to music. I'm
too.
shifting the lighting. It's fun. It was a lot of fun. It was really cool. So yeah, I've now done something that I had never done before twice.
In rapid succession.
With a 24-4 record. So like, yeah, all right, dog can hunt. And I think we'll talk about the brawl like a little bit later in like a little bit more context, I think, in the discussion topic. But like, I think it's really interesting how this brawl is playing out and some of the events within it. And that was my week, or at least.
Unintended.
Yeah, that's the amount of that's what has happened in the time that I have not been speaking to our audience. So Azalea, how was your week?
My week was pretty okay. I will say a lot of my nights of SchmoopieDaddy not streaming makes it a lot less motivating to play Wild, except for the one night where I was like, I'm gonna boot up a Wild stream, and we're gonna see what happens. I was like, I'm just gonna play Pirate DH because I love the deck. And I started playing it, and the decks I was rolling into just was not fitting Pirate DH. I was like, all right. So I was like, okay. We're gonna switch to Shadow Priest, and that deck, whatever I was. I mean, my play was. I feel like I played well. I was seeing like the lines to be patient, like, because a lot of times I struggle with being I struggle to be patient with certain things, especially with aggro decks. Like, sometimes, I know with aggro decks, sometimes you just gotta throw your stuff out and go, and just hope.
I almost exclusively do.
Yeah. And then I get these control decks, and it's just like, I roll, like, some nights I'll just roll with a Reno Shaman. or I'll roll with the priest. In the priest, I had already started. I hadn't lost in my first session with it offline, just regular playing. And I think I proceeded to go like I don't have the exact like thing, but I went 20-5 total with Corbett's Reno Shadow Priest list. So Corb made those. The only change I made was I threw in a Spirit Lash. Even though most matchups, because like a lot of the a lot of the rogues run a lot of 1 health minions, and sometimes you just gotta clear those little guys out and to kill chip damage. And it worked great. Just deck worked like a charm. And I had a lot of fun. That Hearthstone. I guess within the last week, I had my as we're in like we're now in week 4, but week 3 of THL. I decided to be a little bit daring, and I went for a seed lock target lineup without really looking at my opponent's seed lock deck they were bringing. And they were bringing a deck that was tech to beat aggro. So I brought triple aggro plus my regular giant seed lock, my 30 card. They were running 40 cards. And my opponent's a good player. Like most people who play, I would say like 99% of people who play Wild THL are like excellent players. They're very, like, every week is a battle. I barely squeaked out a 3-2 because my seed lock. Because he got his seed lock through game 1, and I had to, and I ended up.
So you're like, wait, that's my target. Wait,
and but after that, my pirate DH high rolled. I didn't have pirate rogue. My aggro shadow priest did its thing. It didn't really high roll more than just doing its thing, and then the seed lock got through against. It beat his Reno Shaman. Like that deck was targeted into him enjoying like 40 card Reno deck, like Reno Shaman or Shadow or Reno Shadow Priest. So I was like, okay, we'll bring the seed lock as well, and that one ended up being the Shaman. But it was a very close series. I think my opponent said he missed up, and he I didn't go really look back to see, but he was like, I was like, I did have some chances, and I just kind of messed up. I said, yeah, it happens. Sometimes you don't play your best, and I squeaked out the 5-game win.
Everybody throws. That's what I've come to learn.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think I've played the longest Wild game this entire season. In my week 2 match, I played the wonderful matchup of Hostage Mage versus Reno Shaman. And it was 25 turns and 30 plus minutes.
That's more than 2
of playing it, and I managed to win game 5 as the Hostage Mage. Because all I needed was a big enough hero power where I could 2-shot, where I could play a Reckless Apprentice and ping his face and kill him. Because I couldn't let him. Because I essentially, and this whole time, I am just praying that he does not get that he does not start playing his Shutter Walks and just start massacring through my spell, massacring through me being able to play anything on my turns. But it worked out. THL has been great. I'm on. So SchmoopieDaddy and I are on the same team, and Sheep is a former member of our team, and so I'm loving I'm loving the
look good this year.
The way it's going. Oh my gosh, this team is we're doing really good. Yeah.
Once you trim the fat.
So for those who are in THL, there are typically 2 teams that you look at and you say, how are we going to do into these 2 teams? And that is NHL's team of F12 rating, which consists of him, KVLT, who's an absolutely insane player. You have I think Tom Carter's now on the team. Tom's one of the best WoW players of the last.
Tom's a traitor. He was helping us, and then he left us. Yeah. Okay, so thanks, Tom. Thanks a lot. He's in chat, so I'm giving him a little shtick.
Oh yeah,
that's fine.
And F12 also happens to have someone named. They also have to have someone named Memnarch on their team, who's just some amazing. Who's just.
I hear he's pretty good.
Yeah, he's pretty good.
He's on my legacy team.
Yeah, Memnarch's really good on in all facets, and so we somehow just had like a great week against them and got some points, and we played the other team, which is Seth's team, or for Christ's
Shakers, whatever shake. I think they're
and the Shakers. I think they're Sunburnt Shakers this
Sunburnt
season.
Shakers this season.
Yeah, because of Paradise. But we managed to get good points against them. So it's just from here the team's doing great. Doc, our sub, coming in. But yeah, I will leave the THL talk, and I will just say in personal life, work's going great. Work's going well. And in speedrunning, I have been essentially getting back into my main game for many, many years, Wave Race, and I am de-rusting myself to drop some big times because I don't believe I have that much time. I just personally don't believe I have that much time like left to play a game I'm already like 6 years deep in, and like it's just kind of like I suffered so much burnout for the last 3 years over time. Like I can't play very long, but I finally have the motivation. So we're back, and I'm just enjoying. I'm just enjoying like everything I'm doing, and that's a great spot to be in. It's always nice when you're enjoying everything you're doing.
Are we going to enjoy some news?
Welcome to the news. The news is so good.
He's here in spirit.
In spirit.
Here's Bumper.
Well, we did, in fact, have some news over the past couple of weeks. So we had patch 30.2. So patch 30.2 dropped on August 20th. So, this was the patch notes were five days before. This is now in the past. So 3 days ago, the patch notes dropped. It happened. And it was full of a lot of Battleground stuff. I've actually been playing a decent amount of Battlegrounds lately. I mean, it's like 2 or 3 a day, so it's not like I'm going crazy with them.
How many pages of Battlegrounds updates was it? It was like comical. It was like something like 46 or something. Like it was crazy.
It was wicked high.
There's a lot of graphics and stuff. They basically so as a Battlegrounds enjoyer, like what did they revamp? Like what changed in it like TLDRs?
Yeah, so it's kind of akin to an arena update. So the card pool changed a decent amount. It's like an expansion in that aspect. But then one of the mechanics that was around before, Buddies, is now gone, and the new one called Trinkets is there. So they sunset a mechanic and they introduce a new one, and then they oftentimes will go back and bring up old ones. Like this was not the first time we had Buddies, for example, right? So yeah, Trinkets is a new thing, and it's pretty cool.
Do you also hear the voice line when you hear that? Bye, Trinkets. Or whatever the bird voice is. You know what I'm talking about? And that one minion. Oh. What is it? The 2/3 the 2/3 in Priest, where if you target it generates a spell, or target a minion, it generates a spell, whatever it's called.
Okay.
Yeah. Something Veil Weaver.
That's the one.
Yeah. There we go.
Oh my gosh, no.
Ryan Trinkets.
PTSD of Baron's Priest. Actually, that was no, was it Baron? No, it wasn't Baron's Priest. It was sorry, it was a different deck. It was Nazmani Bloodweaver deck.
Yeah,
that would just make everything cost nothing. But yeah.
Sorry, I
reduce it,
continue.
Generate,
you're
reduce
fine,
it, generate.
Yeah.
But in Wild and Wild adjacent news, arena updates also happened this one. So the ongoing arena runs have come to a close. So if you had one going on, got cashed out, and a free tavern ticket, which is great. They're keeping around the one legendary card per draft and as your first card rule, which I mean, ever since that was introduced, it's been so good. They also rotated the eligible sets. So the ones that are active in Arena currently are Core, Perils in Paradise, Whizbang's Workshop, Titans, March of the Lich King, and Voyage to the Sunken City. They're also say that they're going to be tying Arena seasons to all of the major patches. So that's like 30.2, 30.4, 30.6. So this one is 30.2. They're starting off well on that. Until our larger scale Arena adjustments coming down the line, more on that closer to when they come. This will make Arena season refreshes happen a little more frequently than they have been, and predictably. So you know when to make your leaderboards pushes, or, wait to retire, to have a run going and not retire it, and all that good stuff to get cashed out. I mean, more Arena updates, keeping the things that are good. It's also another dual class Arena season.
Yeah, that's huge. That's huge. It keeps it really fresh.
It does. I've heard some complaints that dual class Arena may be overstaying its welcome from some of my friends who are more engaged in Arena. Every time I've played it, I've really enjoyed the dual class stuff. So, to each their own.
I don't know enough. I don't know enough Arena mains. I haven't actually asked one in a while. I've enjoyed it because it's really easy to low roll a bad class in Arena and then high roll like a secondary class that just sort of saves your draft. It's just like, oh no, I got Warlock. Oh wait, I got Mage. And like you have a chance to not completely suck the entire time. Now your draft can still be bad, but I don't know. The dual class has a lot of benefits to it that I've enjoyed so far. I've seen a lot of people saying that it's fun, honestly. I've seen more people saying, wow, Arena's really fun and nobody's talking about it, which is a really good sign that like people care enough to be like, why aren't enough people saying Arena's fun? So Arena's fun. There you go.
It is. I haven't played since this most recent refresh, but I typically do like an Arena run or two a week. I dabble in the format. It's fun. So keeping it fresh with that refresh, and also upcoming, this hasn't happened yet, go on a treasure hunt for packs with a new type of in-game event. This one's long, from October 27th to September 17. Complete event quest to earn XP on the special event XP track. This time there are weekly event quests instead of a legendary quest chain. Along with daily event quests, complete the entire event track to earn 14 total packs. So that's 7 from Perils, 4 from Whizbang's Workshop, and 3 from Showdown in the Badlands. So no cosmetic associated with this one. And as someone who's trying to bolster my free-to-play account, perfect. I don't care about cosmetics for that at all. I just want cards.
Yep. And I think probably doing the weekly goals means they don't have to do stuff like the very famous like Quest 1, play against or play your own Geppetto Joybuzz. Like there's no like, oops, here's a funky legendary, or here's like a really weird, annoying quest to complete right off the bat that either people won't have the ability to, or again, I think that was on accident, but like, people see intentions where intentions might not necessarily be, but you guys get the idea. Like it's a lot easier to do it over a week anyway, and it probably makes the goals easier to write out.
Play 16 minis.
Play 16 minis, sure.
Yeah.
Yay. Standard hand buff Paladin enjoyers, anybody? I guess.
Standard hand buff, Reno Druid, anything that like nothing in like wild decks don't run minis very often.
Sonya Rogan standard.
Yeah.
Honestly, you see a fair amount in Arena because the little ice ones, the ones that generate ice spells, are really good. And, the 10 drop that
Murloc
like
Grothin.
prints a Deuter, and then it makes a 1/1 that prints a Deuter. Like there's some good minis and Gigantify minions. when you play arena. So that's actually not too much
That's
of a
good.
burden. But like if you're playing constructed,
Yeah.
Tom's clearing his throat in chat. Forgot about Egg Hunter in Wild. Sorry,
Egg.
Tom. Everybody forgets about Egg Hunter. Don't
Sorry,
take it
Tom.
personally.
I mean, you're not. I feel like that deck doesn't want to be playing the egg at first. They want to meat wagon the egg.
I don't
But
know. I think it's 6
anyway.
on one, half dozen on the
No,
other.
I think it's fine. Yeah, I think it's fine.
Yeah.
But also, I mean, there's like a bunch of different examples of like one or two of minis that you'll see in like a Reno deck or whatever. But yeah. Nah, Egg Hunter's a great deck. I literally just got my second egg like this week. I'm
Nice.
like, dang, I'm only like 1,600 dust away from the deck now. And that actually, sorry, that's just I think that's just in Epics. I don't even have Hoover on, so. Anyways.
Well, speaking of tougher things to achieve, the weekly
Sure.
quests are tougher than the usual quest, designed to be
Sure.
completed over the course of a week or two instead of a day or two. Asterisk. Coming back to that asterisk. That asterisk is actually good news. But completing the 3 weekly quest awards enough experience to earn the first 3 tiers of event rewards. Complete daily quests as you go to get that big reward at the end of the treasure hunt. Here's how that asterisk comes back. Weekly quests are unlocked for all players on a weekly reset. Makes sense. Weekly quests. So, start of the event, day 7 and day 14. But players who start late or don't finish one weekly quest before the next one is live will be given the next one immediately upon completing the one they were on, given the opportunity to catch up.
Oh, that's good. Okay.
And they
that's
haven't
huge.
been doing this in ages,
No.
but they did it way back with the legendary quest chains, right? So
Yeah.
I'm glad to see them kind of revitalize that here, because like I don't play my free to play account every day. That's the one I need packs in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So huge quality of life improvement. Absolutely big fan. The patch notes go on to discuss the Wild Heroic Tavern Brawl returning.
What's
So the Wild Heroic Tavern Brawl returns for the week of August 21st through 28th. Compete in high stakes games in the explosive Wild format for your chance at glory and huge prizes. Pay the entry fee, which is I think like 1,000 rune stones or 1,000 gold. That's like $10
Correct.
or 1,000
I believe
gold.
so.
So pay the entry fee and play against other players until you either get 12 wins or 3 losses. And they've got their little handy little like heroic Brawliseum rewards chart. And you know, I know someone who has gotten two wins with this very brawl, and the payout seemed pretty decent.
Yeah, I didn't realize I was going to get 50 packs. So to get 100 packs total is pretty cool. Though one thing that was very funny was Ben Heathstone on Twitter had like started gathering up like pictures of people's screenshots, and I was pretty like early on the first day. I was like in the afternoon, so I was one of the he had 4 people basically he was showcasing who had gotten their 12 wins. And Hyperion was watching me, so he was like, "Can I be in the screenshot?" And I'll be like, "Sure, say something." And he's like, "Hi, chat." So like, mine's the one that says "Hi, chat." When you look at that tweet that Ben shared. But what's really funny is somebody was just like, "Yo, why'd that one dude get 10 more gold?" And I'm like, "Son of a gun!" And so like that's I looked at my screenshot for the second one, and I got that 10 gold back. I feel like tagging that person, being like, "Look, I got the gold back." Blizzard listened. But yeah, that's pretty funny. Yes, the riches are amazing. If you are skilled enough in the Wild format, you feel like you can get to 5 wins. You can break even value-wise as far as how much gold you are spending versus what you are getting. 7 wins. It's like 6, 7 wins. 7 like guarantees it. I think I've been like gold neutral at 6 wins before. Like you can kind of high roll, but it's not guaranteed. 7 wins, it's guaranteed. But like, you know, going past that's really when you start making real hay as far as stuff goes. And so like, again, it's in like hitting 12 is like getting like 10 runs worth of stuff in one run. So like I'm amazed I managed to do it twice. But if I look back over my years of gambling in this thing, this is probably like I've probably just broken even. So it's not for the faint of heart. I happen to just get really lucky and figure it out. So
yeah, getting a heroic Brawliseum when like I did it a while ago, and it was, and I think probably still is, my crowning achievement, and you did it twice this week. That's incredible.
Yeah.
So after the patch notes, the patch hadn't hit yet, we had this here Masters tour. And, you know, we typically don't talk too much about those because those are standard, right? Well, our friend MaxiBon1234 was one of the competitors. And Maxi, you know, qualified for a previous one. Slept through it, didn't participate. But you know, when the kid wakes up on time, kid wins the whole thing.
It's true. It's true. Oh, how funny was that he missed his first? Well, I mean, funny. It's kind of sad, but like also like, how you oversleep your first Masters tour? But the second one he was awake for.
And I think the first one was when they had like much larger like pools of people, and it wasn't just like the 8.
It was like 3 a.m. for him too. Like we're kind of goofing on him a little bit, but like it was, I believe, like
it was a terrible time zone for him.
It was a terrible time zone for him, and he just didn't stay awake.
Yeah, I mean, I probably would have slept through it too at 3 a.m.
Yeah.
Let's be real.
Yeah, for sure.
At Max's age, probably. Yeah.
And then in some game economy news, we had some signature core bundles come up. And so there were packs for Rogue, which was the most expensive of these because it has a legendary in it as well. So the Rogue one had Shadow Step, Preparation, and Test Greymane. The Druid has Innervate and Swipe, and Warrior has Shield Block and Brawl. So I think Rogue was 50, Druid and Warrior were 25 or something like that. So
I didn't even see the core.
Is that signature Test on the screen?
That is Shadow Step.
That's Shadow Step.
That is Shadow Step. Wow,
Tess is really cool too. She's got like a dagger up, and in the reflection of the dagger, you can see Gin Greymane. Oh, it's so sweet. And you know, those are expensive, but what I'm not a fan of is they also had these like signature core like legendary bundles.
Look at Leroy, man.
Yeah, the art on these is great. So it's Leroy Jenkins, Gromash Hellscream, Justicar Trueheart, and Archvillain Rafam. But at least for this one, they're like the bundle that had it, you get 2 random of those 4. So the other 2.
Ooh, what if you don't get the 2 you like?
Right.
That feels
And
bad.
this is not exactly a cheap one to roll the dice on either.
No, I don't like that.
No, I'm not a fan of that. That said, I did high roll and get Leroy, so I'm very happy about that. I got Leroy and Grom. So whenever this comes back around, if the other 2 are the only 2 there, I don't know that I'm gonna pick it up because I mean, how often do we play Justicar Trueheart and Archvillain Rafam?
Not on purpose. Not unless somebody makes me.
Well, for you, yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Fair. but I got the
Maybe
Leroy
Arena.
and I got the Grom, so I'm pretty happy about that. So that concludes the news portion of our program. I need to do some sort of bumper out and or discussion
There's
topic bumper, but I don't.
There's a little
No
bit of a
idea.
segue between the two topics if we want to talk about like the Brawl meta and like news in the Brawl. Because I think
Yeah.
an event that we haven't 100% covered is the little bit of cheating that is going on in the Brawl at the moment.
Yes.
That did make a big splash in the community. So we had, aside from the normal cheating, which I saw some of, some people are cheating using the
animations.
Yeah, animation cheating using the pupil, mailbox, Bran, infinite loop that you can do to make a big Draka weapon. I happen to queue into somebody who's a known cheater, make a 45 attack Draka weapon and throw in an ETC Discover too. Azalea, have you tried that deck before? Okay, you just know, just no on the ATM.
I mean, I probably could. I mean, I saw you do it. You got a 26 on stream.
I think I got a 26 or a 27.
And that
I think
was
with
really cool looking.
practice, I could get to 30. Maybe?
Yeah, I think I mean, yeah, and honestly, like that feels about right for human limit with animations. Like if you go from the start and hit everything perfect, you can definitely
best I've heard of from people I know that are good at the deck.
Yeah.
Say they can get like 36, 37, which
Okay.
I think is probably reasonable.
That's reasonable.
Right? That's probably reasonable because
Yeah.
like again, I'm in my mid 30s. My fast twitch muscle is probably not there anymore. I'm probably not
same.
able to do that. That's fine. That's fine.
Yeah.
But 45 and weave in and discover is like clearly cheating. So aside from that kind of cheating, or animation cheating when it comes to a mage deck, which isn't common, but some people are still cheating with like the new type of Ignite Mage. Somebody managed to take Jiraxis, the hero card, and start the Brawl with it. So, like, they're queuing in, and yes, you face Jiraxis. He has a 3/8 weapon, and his hero power makes a 6/6.
And you can make a deck that plays around that with like Dread Corsairs and stuff like that.
Yeah,
you
Dread
can
Corsairs, the goofball second time around made it even so that he could hero power on one. Ended two of Neon Heron's runs, which Neon Heron was grumpy about.
Oh yeah, I can imagine.
Terrorized Reddit. Somebody else figured out that you could play as
It was Uther.
Uther of the Even Blade, so that you could like OTK super early. So there was some shenanigans. Yeah, Corbett still beat the guy on Jiraxis twice with Garora, which is very, very funny. Corbett lost round 3, but I'm sorry if you're cheating and you still can't beat Corb. That's a good story.
Yeah,
I mean, Corb is still Corb.
Corb is still. I think it's probably fair to say Corb's like the best wild player ever. And so that's really good.
That's
obviously great by him.
I was a little disappointed because I saw in some places people give their recommendation on certain websites to not play the Brawl at all because of the cheating and that it's, just this is not a good investment. And then, you see in the comments for a tweet like that, oh yeah, I wasn't going to play it anyway. Or like, oh man, thanks, you saved me the gold. Which is funny because, according to Celestalon, the amount of games affected by this particular cheating, apparently, it seemed very obvious from the dev side of things. So those players are banned. Because it must have been very obvious because they're just like, yeah, we found them pretty quick. And number 2, I guess it's a very small sample size of games. It was only like 70-something games. So the number of players who are actually impacted by it is pretty small. So like poor Neon Heron, dude rolled into it twice. But 3, Celestalon said that the people who were affected are going to be compensated. I don't know what that compensation looks like. In the past, when we had this with duels, they gave out 10 tavern tickets to anybody who was affected by it, which is like, wow, that's a lot.
Which
You're
is
talking about
great.
one run affected by it, and like, wow,
Yeah,
okay,
and
so
you
I
get,
get
like,
10 free runs.
Take 10.
Yeah, right.
I wouldn't expect that now. That seems like that might be more than what you could hope for. I know, like, Neon Heron's just like, dude, I just want the gold back for my runs. So, like, somewhere between 10 tavern tickets magnitude and just getting a refund for the run, I think would be appropriate. I think just a refund for the run, honestly, in gold would not be appropriate. I'd want to see a little bit more. Definitely not in runestones. I think that's a trap. That's a trap that I think could end up being the actual solution. But, like, the problem with runestones is, like, what if the run is not an even number of runestones, or I want to spend my runestones someplace else, and now I have an odd number of runestones? Blizzard, I'm going to go on Reddit and write an angry art. Like, I think they can go in. I hope they don't go the runestone route, because I could see that going south really quick. From
I
a
have
PR
450 runestones, so I know what you mean.
it could go south so quick. So I'm hoping. I'm going to leave the devs up to their judgment. It's not like they're like cheapskates. Like, when they've done these things in the past, they've been generous. I'm hoping they're generous again. They don't have to be too generous. I'm just saying, like, I want to see something that does make people feel like they're whole without pissing off the community, or like kicking an anthill of people who are just looking to be angry for whatever reason they want to be angry. I think that's fair.
Yeah,
And
I'd say
so-
probably 1,500, 2,000 gold, I think would be appropriate if it's me speculating on it.
100%. And the brawl is safe. Like, it was safe. I'm not going to play it again. So, like, I'm not trying to look for people to farm. Like, I honestly think like the brawl is safe. It's taken care of. And they took care of it pretty quickly, and it's not an issue that we really have to worry about anymore. But I don't know. I was a little disappointed to see that happening. So, do we want to talk about brawl meta? What's happening in the brawl? How it's evolving?
Sure.
Lay this knowledge upon me, Father.
Sure. So, like, the brawl sort of starts as whatever the wild meta is, right? So, what's the best wild
rogue.
meta deck that you'd expect people to bring? Mac Rogue, absolutely,
Pack
100%. Aggro
Yeah.
Rogue, okay, sure. So, you might see Pirate Rogues. You might see Pirate DHs. But the big bad, the one that nobody really wants to talk about, is Null Rogue, right? Like, Null Rogue, which everybody looks
very
at.
Good.
It's very good, and both these statements are true.
Yeah.
Null Rogue is the best deck in Wild. Null Rogue is unplayable.
Yeah.
Because
I'm just.
Go ahead. What are you going to say, Azalea? What are your experiences with Null Rogue? Because your experiences probably mirror other people's experiences.
It's really weird because I have this, like, to preface this, because as being on Schmoopie's THL team, he gets a lot more access to my thoughts and feelings on the game and on certain things. And I have been trying for weeks to figure out Pack Rogue. And I am currently, I think, 7 and 15, and a bunch of them are just insta concedes because someone either knows either like I play a turn and it's like, okay, it's obvious they're a pack deck. The person doesn't want to play and they concede. And I think I have like 3 legit wins and a bunch of losses, and I've it's like, is it, and I haven't gone through replays and been like, okay, is it my play, like whatever, like, but in general, like, it's a very good deck, and I often have a lot of matchups where my opponents will completely destroy me and high roll me with a pack into a passage or a Finley right away, and then I have the experience of, well, I have gotten pack passage before, and I think it didn't really result in like a super dominant win that way, but because I ended up playing a bunch of giants and a bunch of break dances. Like that's how you win the game. I think it's very interesting that someone has like a decent amount of experience. I have over 5 years of Wild experience.
You've played Miracle Rogue before, right?
And Miracle Rogue, yeah. Like I've played tons of like Edwin. I played Edwin Miracle. I've played like Sinstone Graveyard decks.
Oh,
but
yeah.
This deck plays different, and it's maybe it's a particular type of deck I'm not very good at because I was never really great at the Giants Miracle decks in general. Just spewing out a bunch of spells and then playing 8/8s. I've always been the type of person who likes to kind of try and beat that, and who likes to who looks at that and says, this is quite interesting. Like what's the way to actually kind of combat it? But I've had to try and learn it, and it's just been so unfortunate. Like I've been trying to bring it to DHL for 2 weeks, and last night I was gonna bring it, and I just said I can't justify this. I can't if I'm gonna try and win, and my opponent just doesn't ban it. Am I gonna be able to get a win with it against another lineup? And so that's just kind of where I've ended up at. I'm still going to try with the deck because, I think it's a very interesting deck, and I've had a very checkered history with Wild Paul AzaleaAkari being a standard player for so long. That card, like, created a whole...
It's good. It's bad. It's good. It's bad.
Yeah.
Yep.
We can bring it back. No, you can't.
Yeah, it's like...
that was a bad idea.
So, like... Yeah, I thought it was very interesting. I was like, man, this card was dead for so long, and, like... all of a sudden...
Come on, can we have it back? Never mind. No,
and it's just like, all of a sudden, it's so funny. And I realize this. They've nerfed cards, like... Now, Standard was the reason that Null got nerfed.
Yeah.
And it became... And they made that the ultimate change to say, it has to be from other classes. It can't be you as Maestra doing it. Essentially... and then they print a card that just actively makes it cost 0. And then they nerf all those. How many years ago did they nerf Sork Apprentice?
A while.
At least 2.
Like, and now all of a sudden, look, it's back. I know it's not a top deck, but it's like I have to deal with people. It's like I have to work. I have to see people playing ice blocks and they go into turn 5 or 6 and playing Miracle and playing like Combo Mage again.
Yeah,
it's like
Ice block on 5, ice block on 6, ice block on 7, ice block on 8.
Yeah, like when I heard SchmoopieDaddy say like, I think that like a lot, and I do kind of agree that for that deck, like sometimes you just don't want to run the ice block.
Ice block on 10, ice block on 11.
But then I have experiences where my opponent goes like ice block, and I can't get through them, and then they combo me. And the tough part with that is like that type of deck opens up people to the temptation of animation cheating, which I don't think I've actually experienced, because I do think that reasonably you don't, like, you could definitely get it done before then. And I do agree, No Rogue is a targetable deck. I tried targeting it, and I think I don't think I had like the full proper target lineup into it, and it did end up getting through in one of my in that week where I tried to target it, but
does
it was okay.
Skipper Warrior target it? Because it sounds like Schmoopie may have taken advantage of that very matchup.
I brought a Skipper list in that week, and that got banned. So
that's how polarized, eh?
I think KVLT knew what I was doing in week 1 with that, and he promptly spoke to me in 15 minutes for a 3-0 with Combo Druid, which Tog Druid's about what tier? I think Tempo Storm had it tier 2, maybe tier 3.
He's good with that deck. No, he just whispers to that deck, and it just plays for him.
Oh, and he also whispers to Questline DH as well, which for some reason, I still have no clue how to beat that deck. So it's okay.
So anyways. the brawl's basically playing out the same you'd expect the wild meta to play out. If you look at a Tempo Storm report, that's kind of the decks that people would start with, right? But what's kind of interesting about the at least the one that happened in Sunken City that I remember is going into the brawl, Pirate Rogue was considered the best deck. By the time we left the brawl, everybody agreed XL Reno Priest is the best deck in Wild. So like the brawl like gets people in there and it gets competition going and it kind of makes people pay attention to Wild in a different way, in a more competitive way, in a more serious sort of like tournament style, let me counter what I'm actually playing type way, as opposed to just sort of accepting bad matchups and sort of moving on, or just sort of going by feels. And by the end of it, like it sort of like puts Wild into a crucible, and then we get like a more refined Wild on the other side. And I wasn't sure like how that was going to happen with this one. I wasn't sure that it was able to, considering how dominant Rogue has been. But I knew that somewhere in there, I feel like Control Rogue, I feel like there's a Control Warrior in there someplace in the meta, but like I couldn't be the one refining it. Until this Chinese list popped up, somebody hit rank 1 with an XL skipper list. I looked at it, tried it on stream, and I was like, this feels pretty good. Like I could play this. And in theory, this should counter aggro and nulls and stuff, because like I've played skipper in the past and absolutely dumpstered null rogue, so I was just like, okay, like I know this should go well into null rogue. Where I was really nervous was just like, can this stand up to pirate DH? Can this stand up to new shadow priest, which is a little bit faster? And so started playing it, had a reasonably easy stroll to my 12-2. I'm seeing everywhere, like people on Discords saying like, well, my Chinese friends are all playing Odin Warrior. I'm looking at Neon's website. I think Warrior has had the most 12 wins from Brawl so far. I think Rogue might be second. Like Null Rogue, still very popular. Warrior,
Plate
very
breaker,
popular.
new meta.
like kind of breaking the meta a little bit, right? And I'm not taking credit for that because like I don't the list that I play specifically, what I took from the Chinese list was I basically took their list and then they run a minion called Replicator Nader. It's from a mini set. It's got both the miniaturize and gigantify attached to it, so it makes a 1/1, it makes an 8/8, but the effect is if you play a minion with the same attack as this minion, then it will make a copy of it. So what you use that for skipper in is if you play the 1/1, you need the mini. You don't need the gigantify minion. That thing's a piece of trash. So you play your vanilla 5/5.
You don't want to copy your Odin?
No, you don't want to copy your Odin. That one's Garbo. So you play the 1/1, and then you play Armor Smith, and then you play Skipper, and then you play Rockstar, and you say, holy cow, that's going to be a lot of armor, right? And you can gain like 100 armor in a turn fairly easily with just that very small combo. Now, it's my belief this is win more garbage. I think when stats actually come out and people start looking at how the 5-drop performs based off of all the other cards that we have in the list, I think it will be in the bottom half. I used to say it might be toward the bottom of the list. I'm willing to agree and to understand that the effect is powerful, and if you pull it off, it makes very small amounts of combo pieces go a long way. So like I get it. I get the practicality behind it. I don't think we always have time to play a 5-mana 5/5 that's going to add 2 things to my hand in the deck where I have to manage hand space. I don't believe in it. So I cut it for Blade Storm. Guess what?
Yay.
I still got
Blade
2
Storm's
12-win
good.
runs. Somehow the deck still works without the 40th card in it. Who would have foreseen this? So, like, that was the change that I made.
Now it's your deck.
And now it's my deck. And I like it. And it's less dust because I'm pretty sure Blade Storm is in core. So there you go. I'm not even baiting people, really. So I think the meta's kind of evolving this way, which is really interesting. I think you're going to see more warriors. If you see more warriors, you are going to see more combo, probably. I think you're going to see more mages. I think you're going to see more, more. You might even see people trying Mechathune Warrior. You might see more Reno Shaman looking to probably let's chain some bullies together and let's get some disruption going. Like, I think the meta keeps sort of like, if Warrior becomes something that you can reliably target and pick on because it's popular enough, you're going to see some interesting things. I don't even hate, and this is going to sound insane, I don't even hate like Plate Breaker in the mirror, to be completely honest with you, as a 40th card. I don't think it's if you're expecting a lot of mirrors, it's not the craziest thing. Like, you can get enough attack for like, oh, I could take out 40 health. And then I can get 40 attack, or I can gain 40 armor and then drop a Plate Breaker pretty easily in this deck and kind of get there. So like,
do you ever like cook up an ETC in his band? So like Blade Storm, Plate Breaker.
I don't know if you want to do ETC because now you're signaling that you're getting something out of the pot. I would just run it as a 40th card. I mean, we run Druid cards now. We run Sleep Under the Stars. We have draw for days. Sleep Under the Stars is busted.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's I know New Heights is really good, but I mean, sometimes there's an option to like run only one of that card, but maybe there's just another 40th card that we want to cut. Like, I mean, from this list, I mean,
like the flexes are everything in it. Shield Slams.
Yeah, Shield Slams. Yeah, that makes sense.
Safety goggles could be frozen bucklers. That's fine. I haven't minded the safety goggles. Bucklers or like safety goggles, either or. Slams, shield slams could be something else. I've liked the shield slams. I think they make like the null rogue and like threatening target matchups like pretty simple. Somebody was like, I think Copper Scum in chat was just like, well, too bad it's like Barov draw simulator, right? I'm like, not really. You gain some armor and you just destroy their stuff because you have options. And the last flex, I think, is the Replicator. I don't think you need it. Like, obviously, you don't need it because I can go 20. I can go 24-4 with the deck. So, I think that's all stuff that you. Eternium Rover. Eternium Rover can also probably go. So, like, whatever you want to do with that, put in your favorite warrior cards. Deck list probably still goes pretty well.
I really like the Eternium Rover, especially with the Joymancer Geppetto.
Interesting.
Yeah, I really
like Joymancer in this deck. I really like
the
Joymancer in this deck.
I like the all you can eat getting 3 1/1s that I can now use in a small skipper combo.
Right.
Because they all come back with Joymancer. Like, Joymancer's actually good. It's bizarre.
Because early in the expansion, I would find that it's like, I have to combo to live, to like kill stuff and live. If I have to do that twice, like, can I win the game? And that was like some of the issue I found early in the expansion. Maybe it wasn't a 40 card list at that point either. I might have still been holding on to what we were running last expansion.
And with that, and it's funny with that little mini combo, like you've done 2 AOE that kills treasure distributors, that takes out like any little 1/1s that have been buffed by Roadhouse. It leaves behind things that will trade and still gain armor or like are must kill targets. So like it. Yeah. You just sort of like, you don't need to necessarily always clear the board, but you just need to just sort of mess it up, gain some health, and buy a little bit more time. And that's basically what this deck does in spades. It's just like, just mess it up, buy more time, mess it up, buy more time, mess it up, buy more time. Tom's saying you can add Rakara in there. That's fine. If you want to add Rakara, That's fine. Like, I just don't know.
And the cool part about the deck is, like, eventually you slam the Odin, and then you get a combo, and... we've seen, I mean, you got 202 armor and attack on Steam.
I did do 100. I did do 202 in the...
And I think I think our teammate Superbase had 180 in a screenshot, and I put it in the I put it in our chat, but I did a
funny.
one, and then I had a 140.
140 is good.
Yesterday. And I was like, man, like I was just like, I have to kill this person. I don't know, like I didn't know exactly what I needed to do, but I thought just to maximize it, put the armor smiths down first, and then play Skipper 3 cards and see what happens.
Yeah,
and it was really good.
It's a lot,
obviously.
And Tom's right in chat too with the new high. What were you gonna say? Go ahead, Sheep. You were reading it.
Yeah, I was gonna say that Tom hit the nail on the head with new heights. Geppetto or Odin are not the end of the turn. So if you're, playing Geppetto, then you can also play the, cards to clear the board. If you've already got Odin active, then also, win the game.
Oh, wow.
If you just top decked Odin and you've got 14, 15, 16 mana, guess what? You can Odin and then still do your combo in the same turn. So the new heights, adding the higher mana cap is huge in this deck.
Yes.
And like the joke that I told when we were reviewing cards for this set was just like, okay, well, the good thing for Warrior is the cards that it got one good card, and then it got the ability to run cards that aren't Warrior. And that was like, that's like
Sleep Under the Stars is correct.
Sleep Under the Stars is like the turn that I got my 12th win on against the Mill Druid, right? I'm like, okay, I've just drawn my Geppetto. My Geppetto cost 5 because of From the Depths. I think I had 10 mana. I was like, okay, I have a couple pieces here. So I spent 3 mana sending out an Eternium Rover and an Armor Smith. I have a 4 mana Sleep Under the Stars because of From the Depths. And I cast the 4 mana Sleep Under the Stars, and I'm just like, oh, let me just refresh mana. And so I'm just refreshing mana. I have a 0 mana Skipper in hand. Thank you, From the Depths. Rip Geppetto. I have 2 more Armor Smiths in there. I'm like, this person is so deceased. And that was it. Like, that was like, I think I hit him for 122. I just watched it back. I watched the whole run back today. How insane is that? I'm like, let me just watch it from the beginning. Let me try to relive it.
Oh man, that's
I didn't even play today. I didn't really play today. I was just doing that all day.
Such a different level. Going back and watching, I have a playlist of all my world records.
Oh, that's cool.
Years ago, there's been times where I've gone through and just watched all of them. It's just like, man,
my hand was my hand was sweaty on the button here. My hand was sweaty on the button here. Oh, I almost scuffed this turn. Oh man,
it's like the heart. Like, I don't know. I've had few moments in Hearthstone where my heartbeat has like picked up playing the game, because it's generally, really the only thing that does that is like a THL match, really, like, because that's a competitive format. But in speedrun, it just happens all the time. It's like you get on pace and your heart's just like, oh my gosh, I'm doing it. It's really cool.
Especially with speedruns too.
Yeah, I know. It's like, because even though they're short, even though time trials are generally short, it's like, it's like a minute to a minute and a half, and it's just like, man, I get on pace and it's just like, holy cow. Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, get doing an achievement like that of winning the Brawliseum. Like I've done one Brawliseum ever. I did it for a standard brawl, and Sheep and I played Zarimi Priest in a call for a couple of hours. And I went over gold neutral, and that felt like an accomplishment, because
100%.
Like,
no, if you go gold neutral, you're good to go.
It was over gold.
If you're getting value for the gold you spent, like that's awesome. That is not most people's case.
I went 9-3. I went 9-3.
Yeah, I think whenever I left,
7 wins.
I think whenever I left you, it was at 7, either 7-0 or 7-1. Like,
My 2 and 3 with Pirate DH gave me 3 packs. I was so sad.
Yeah.
I was like,
And then I went like
That's right. 2 and 2.
And then I went 2 and 2. Like I was like talking with Denka's dad, like not the whole time, but for some of it. Like he wasn't helping me, but we were chatting while he was playing BGs. Yeah, shout out. Yeah, I mean like it's all good.
so yeah, I mean that's what kind of like the heroic brawl looks like. But
Yeah.
you know, it's shaping up to look a lot more warrior heavy. I'm not at the point where I would say where it's smart to target warriors. Whenever this podcast is edited and then distributed, will the brawl still be up? Maybe.
I don't know.
For another couple days, probably, yeah.
Yeah. So like
Okay.
maybe depends on the turnaround. I don't I don't know if that's possible, but like I think Warrior's still going to probably be a pretty decent option. People kept asking me whether or not this is going to be a strong deck period on Wild Ladder, and I think the answer is absolutely yes. People
Yeah.
are playing it unironically in the top 30, top 100 with good success. This particular list, people are changing little things at the edge, but there's a lot that's correct and feels good, and so it's going to come down to personal preference from there. I think into slower stuff, into greed piles, into stuff where you don't know exactly how much taunt they have, it's a little bit of a riskier proposition. I feel comfortable in those matchups, but I think it'd be tough to ask somebody if that's what they're mostly seeing to like drop everything, learn the deck, drop the dust on it, and play it. If you're seeing mostly aggro, though, I think this thing is going to wreck. Like I think day one next month, I'm back at day one legend with this deck, and I can't wait for that. What are you thinking,
This
Sheep?
kind of makes me want to unearth some old standard technology in the like taunt aggro druid with the 2/3 that makes
gosh.
taunts cheaper and
Yeah.
You're gonna need Unkiliax
Yeah.
levels of taunt to be completely
Yes.
honest. To be completely
I think I may
honest.
run in Kiliax in that deck actually.
Yeah, you might need
Yeah.
something like that because
that old ancient deck carried me very hard.
I
back then. But yeah.
I cut through 3 Tyranti the other night.
Wow.
Like somebody generated Tyrantus off of they generated Tyrantus off of the treasure from Marin. And so
Yeah,
I'm
so
like,
there were
oh,
2
those
on
are two
board and
14,
one in
14
hand.
tons. I'm going to have to face tank those. I think I took them out with Barov, but then there's like another one that I did actually face tank. I was just like, okay, this Tyrantus, I'm going to hit with my face. And like with Geppetto, it's kind of insane. Like you can do that now, and you can fizzle Geppetto, and Geppetto's going to bring back any like Geppetto's going to bring back. Is it any one attack minions that you played this game?
Yeah.
So
one attack or one health.
brings one attack, so it brings back Skippers,
Yeah.
brings back Armorsmiths, brings back Eternium Rovers, brings back Razorfen Rockstars. If you're doing the Replicator Nader
Armorsmith.
thing, it brings back that 1/1 mini. And so like you can you can store all that in the Geppetto. You can fizzle the Geppetto, get a snapshot of the Geppetto, bring the Geppetto back. Gone are the days where we're like kind of miserly about how many resources we're using in the skipper turns. And then like kind of like being like, okay, well, I can use this now to clear, but then I don't have it for the Odin later. That's not a problem anymore. Now you just like use pieces whenever tempo out pieces. I won my 12 win game. I tempoed out a Razorfin Rockstar on 1 because I was just like, I didn't know it was a mill druid, but I was just like, I don't know. I've got all you can eat in my hand, and my hand's gonna get pretty clogged pretty quick. And I've got the safety glasses. Let me just throw it out there and get it going. So you can just like throw out some pieces for tempo. I'm like, guys, this is aggro priest. Watch me play this Armorsmith on 2. Like you can do that, and you know you're going to see it again later. So you know you can do some goofy lines like that, and just the freedom that it allows, and the amount of resource and the gas that it makes. Holy cow! But anyway, that's what I can pretty much add to Brawl and my Brawl experiences, which unfortunately are very limited to one deck. But that's how I kind of see it playing out.
Unrelated Advice with SchmoopieDaddy.
Uh-oh.
So, SchmoopieDaddy, I know you and your family have recently gotten over a bout with sickness.
Uh-huh.
And I'm afraid that me and my family are about to head down that road. What's your best advice to dealing with the sickness through the whole family? Because, since we've had my little one, he's been sick a few times, but it always feels like it's a huge ordeal. And is there anything that we can, do to make things feel better than that?
Well, I always find when the little ones get sick, they don't want me. They want their mother, right? And so they start snuggling up on mom. Now, what does that mean? That means the next one to get sick is mom. So start looking for signs that the mother is sick. You might have to, as they do in some Midwestern farming communities, you might have to burn the crop before. No, we can't do that. Okay, all right. Well, if that's not an option, what you're going to have to do is,
sorry,
if you're not okay. Well, all right. I'm gonna have to switch gears a little bit here. Then, if you start seeing your wife getting sick, like little man can eat, drink whatever he wants, whatever he feels like, right? Watch the television he wants to watch. We don't do limit on screen times when they're sick. Just let him get through it. Schmoopie is typically more docile when he's sick because he doesn't have the energy to get into trouble, which is a minor blessing, a brief reprieve from his hell raising. But mostly, I would say, sheep, look for signs within yourself and in your wife that she's getting sick, and then try to anticipate what she's going to need. Like, for example, once I started getting sick, I started feeling like the headaches and the dehydration, and I had some like horrible times where it's just like I knew my body needed water, but I was on an air mattress because, again, we were staying not at home. I was on an air mattress that had deflated, and so I'm like rolling around in the air mattress. Those of you at home that are listening, you can't see me roll around in my chair, but I imagine one of those wacky inflatable arm flailing tube men. Imagine that, but just on an inflatable mattress that is deflated, that is now a valley. And I'm like rolling over to try and get my water, and I get to the glass and it's empty. And so what I tried to do is I tried to make sure with my wife, who I knew what she was going through, I tried to make sure her glass of water was always full. Just little things like that go a long way, because mommy's going to feel like she's tied down and she's doing everything. And to a certain extent, she absolutely is. So just say yes, dear, and try to support her as best you can. And then when you start going down with whatever little man has, it's over. You might as well move out. They're not going to let you back in. They're going to probably lock you in the basement someplace, possibly feed you to wolves, to prevent the sickness from ever returning. So consider new lodgings and a new job and way of life.
Wiser words have never been spoken, and you heard that on
Born to be wild.
Sorry, I pressed the button. Pressed the button on a kid toy I shouldn't have pressed. It was just there to get pressed. My bad.